So I want to get a little more creative in how we approach narrative paintings. And when I say that, I mean like kind of a figure that's dropped into a scene or a world and tells a story. This is Florine Stettheimer. She was a New York painter. This is actually her nude self-portrait that she did at 45, and it was very scandalous at the time. I think it was the 20s that she was painting all of this. She led a really kind of an art salon out of her very, very fancy house, and built these worlds and these kind of androgynous characters and these kind of mystical worlds. And this might be something some of you might want to consider. And I'm leading with her because of her just sheer creativity of how she treats space and perspective and color, and mixes like surreal elements with everyday life, and you know makes everything wonky. She also uses a lot the aerial viewpoint, which some of you might want to do in your narrative painting. It's a very cool way of giving us a lot of world. These four paintings are her cathedral series. One is the Cathedral of Theater, Broadway, Wall Street, Fifth Avenue for shopping, and one for the arts. And these are her most famous paintings, and they're pretty monumental. But I love the perspective. I love an aerial perspective in a painting. I just think it really makes a person feel as if they're getting the whole picture, whether it be like a party or a picnic. I think it's just such a great way. So maybe for your narrative painting, you want to experiment with an aerial perspective and give us a whole world. Another painter to look at is Gertrude Abercrombie. This is her. She was a very big part of the jazz community in Chicago and was really good friends with like Dizzy Gillespie and Sarah Vaughan, and was a surrealist. And I thought this was something that might appeal to some of you as far as let's get creative about how we use our figures. Maybe it's not the common everyday world that we want to depict it. Maybe you want to create an entire fanciful, surreal world for your characters or your figures. I'm like, take note of her super, super dark and desaturated palette, and then she puts in these bits of lightness. It's kind of how she does most of these. Maybe a pink dress, or the vibrant, vivid yellow moon. So maybe you want to approach like that. Another thing that Abercrombie did, and a lot of surrealists did, which might be fun for you to do, is to play with the shadow. Maybe the shadow has nothing to do with the figure. It's a totally different shadow, like this. Maybe it's just very drastic. Maybe it tells another element to the story. So it'd be really fun to see some of you play with this, and see what you could do. And I know I have a tendency to be kind of boring with my color when it comes to figures and people, but I thought we'd look at Lubaina Himid, who is the opposite. She does these amazing narratives, but look at the colors she picks. They're so bright and bold, and it allows another word. It's like kind of not unlike the surrealism of Abercrombie. I feel like I'm in a different world. So that is something you could play with as well, and just do really vibrant palette. I also Another option is to bring the person into your world with you. Nicole Eisenman does this really well. Like we are the people with the hands. We were watching the computer. We're on the train. By having people in the extreme foreground, she brings us into the painting. So that is an option too. Like we feel like we're sitting there with these people, and her paintings are really wonderful. I just love this one. I had to add it. It's so good. And Wilhelm Sasnal, who is a Polish painter, and he also brings us right into the car, the room, the conversation. He does such a great job of making us feel like we're all a part of this scene that's happening. And so maybe you want to have a super cropped close up of your figure. Maybe your scene is the goal of what you're going to do is to bring us into it. And that generally involves, like I said, the extreme close up. Maybe your figure is just one of a, multiplicity. These are Jacob Lawrence and his very famous migration series. These are Ramon Casas, who I love, Celeste Dupuis Spencer, and Manet. There are many, many different ways you can, create a crowd scene. Micheal Armitage is great. He does these really, you have to kind of see these in person to catch all the details. But if you're not familiar with his work, his palette too is just amazing. Storytelling is amazing. And the French painter Claire Tabouret, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. She just did the Notre Dame windows, the new ones. she often has kind of these amazing crowds as if they're like posed for, pulled from a photograph. But that could be something too. You kind of could do a very old fashioned pose with you could look for that. You could take a variety of figures and put them in that. And just also, I love that portrait. She's pretty cool. Play with scale. Uh, D. Nickerson does that. She often has like they're kind of small in comparison to the other objects. She gives a lot of room to the sky because she has all these symbolic birds. So that could be really fun to play with. Your people could be the smallest part of your narrative. Wilhelm Sasnal does this as well. He plays with scale a lot. Um, I really want to do more of that. I feel like it's super effective in terms of world building. Creating these worlds. Anna Berger. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either. Again, she plays with scale. Often the people are very small in these epic scenes. I love this one. There's something about the motion of this and the scale of the person in the back. But yeah, so I'm kind of thinking what the best course of action will be is that we're going to experiment with the different options like this. You might want to do a mosaic composition. Lauren Delaroche, who's having a moment, mosaic, I mean, it's all kind of jammed in there flatly a little bit, like there maybe makes no sense in the depth of the image, like the depth has been lost. Everything's pretty flat, and it feels like a tapestry. And I wish I knew more about her process. Some of them might be tapestries. Summer Wheat has one really awesome. She does this cool process where she sticks the acrylic paint through this like very thin mesh, so it actually has this bumpy surface. But again, hers is more of a mosaic um, approach to it, which could be really fun for some of you, where she kind of again plays with space and depth and flattens it all out. You could do triangular, which is this again, Jacob Lawrence, a very common when it comes to figure or figurative scenes, where it literally just makes like Mona Lisa's a triangular composition. You could map out the main points in a triangle. That's a popular one. So I think what we're going to do is I want you to play, not just go to your initial kind of knee jerk, what we always all go to for our layout. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have a bunch of different items and objects cut out. You are going to pick 4 of those and play with 4 different distinct compositions of how you could use those based on what we kind of looked at. Maybe it's an aerial, maybe it's like in the crowd, maybe it's going to be a triangular composition, maybe you're going to just goals are going to play with color. For these, I just took these 4 objects and I wanted to see, these are as if studies for a larger painting. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the day by doing 4 studies with watercolor and pencil, very rough. This is my, my sketch for my aerial one. This is my in the crowd. I dropped my figure in the crowd using the Colosseum, my Greek person, my electricity, and my candy. My electrical storm and candy. Now here is me, the loner in the crowd. Here is me in the viewer's space because I'm looking over the shoulder of my angel statue. And then here is an aerial view. So we're going to start by doing 4 distinct different compositions with watercolor and pencil and figure out which one we think would work best before we start our narrative painting. Okay, bye.